You have likely seen it in your timeline, a hyper-realistic video of a person moving naturally right up until the physics break and the anatomy collapses in on itself. This type of synthetic media is generated at massive scale to capture clicks in the attention economy. The creators prioritize speed and volume over substance, flooding platforms with superficially competent filler. Because the output appears instantly, there is a widespread assumption that artificial intelligence has reduced creation to a single click, eliminating the need for human labor. A digital ecosystem that rewards speed over scrutiny turns raw, unedited misfires into viable commodities. No traditional medium operates on the premise that the first attempt is flawless. Whether writing a novel, designing a building, or testing a scientific hypothesis, the initial draft is universally expected to be broken. In professional design methodologies, failure is an intentional phase of the process. You build a prototype specifically to push it until it breaks, extracting data from the breakdown to inform the next version. Long before software existed, writers understood this cycle. The playwright Samuel Beckett summarized the iterative process by writing, "Ever tried, ever failed, no matter. Try again, fail better." Evaluating a generative model exclusively by its raw, immediate output ignores this standard practice. In any art form, the first attempt belongs in the trash. The film industry built an entire infrastructure around filtering out creative misfires long before digital tools existed. Editors would review miles of celluloid by hand. They had to evaluate each sequence and physically cut the film to remove unwanted frames. Sitting at machines like this, an editing team would sift through hundreds of hours of outtakes and safety shots. Capturing a single usable moment required generating massive amounts of unusable material. The discarded strips were often swept off the editing table and left as literal garbage. That space became known as the cutting room floor, a graveyard for bad ideas, ruined takes, and broken props. The cohesion of a classic film relies entirely on the director keeping the vast majority of what they actually shot away from the audience. Working with generative AI is a high-speed version of the cutting room floor. Writing prompts is a relentless trial-and-error process of testing instructions against the model's interpretation. This diagram illustrates human in the loop. A person prompts, the machine generates, and a human evaluates the result. When failures are caught, like anatomical glitches or visual drift, creators extract this error data. They loop backward, adjusting parameters to correct the trajectory. Mastering a generative model requires steering through this high-speed cycle of failure, using constant correction to find the usable result. Over time, this process creates a large volume of discards. Creators organize these into a Misfit archive, a private repository composed entirely of rejected generations. A collection like My Misfit Vids acts as a technical case study. It logs the exact prompts used alongside the resulting glitches, documenting the trial and error phase behind the scenes. These files are objectively flawed outputs. They are kept exclusively to analyze what went wrong and how the model behaves under certain constraints. A spammer posts glitches to maximize volume in a public feed. A storyteller studies the garbage to refine their craft in private. Working with generative tools requires recognizing that the ultimate measure of quality is an uncompromising willingness to hit the delete button. The machine renders the pixels, but the human performs the curation. The real work happens in the silence, the specific, deliberate decision of what not to show. As filmmaker George Lucas has noted, pushing boundaries and doing things that haven't been done before carries a high potential for failure. You have to generate bad material to eventually uncover the good. A creator standard is not defined by the technical capabilities of their software. It is defined by what the human operator refuses to publish. It is entirely valid to be frustrated with the current state of the internet. The digital landscape is choked with low-effort synthetic filler. But consider the film outtake. In the credits of certain action films, audiences watch sequences of missed cues, broken props, and mistimed stunts. A blooper reel isolates the mistakes from a finished, heavily curated product. The human context transforms an error into insight, whereas an uncurated feed of AI errors offers nothing but noise. The failures are real, and the glitches are heavily publicized. But just as we do not judge the history of cinema by a reel of outtakes, The worst, unedited outputs of artificial intelligence do not define the future of the medium.